Welcome to Moneik Quilts Quilttube number 12. This year I set a goal to do a quilt tube once a month. While I didn't quite make my goal of doing 12 quilt tubes monthly, I did do 12 quilt tubes. So I'm pretty excited that I was able to meet my goal and to share with you some of my passion for quilting. I have done quite a variety of quilts this year. I don't have the total yet, but I do realize that bags were primarily the focus of my year, but I did do a lot of quilts that I gave away. And so today I'm going to share with you a few things that I'm working on, as well as a little bit of haul that I received prior to the Christmas holiday and one of my Christmas presents, and then share with you how I organize for the new year. So we'll start off with what I'm working on right now, which is the Bonnie Hunter Quiltville Mystery. So you can see I have 2 of last week's Clue 5 completed. I am working on a couple special projects, and so I was trying to work on those instead of getting my clues done. But I did get 2 of the clues done, and then Clue 6 has us using some purple squares, and so I have my stacks all cut of the purple squares, and so I'll be able to complete Clue 6 as I complete Clue 5 later this week. So I have all of the Clue 6 cut and ready to put with my Clue 5s as I get them completed. So this has been a fun mystery that I've done several years in a row. This is the first time that I'm really keeping up very, very well with each of the weeks, and hopefully the other Clue 5s will go together just as quickly as these 2 did. While I was working on those, Grassy Creek was the mystery quilt in 2019, and I have some of the kind of the sashing pieces that were supposed to be string pieced. I didn't string piece mine, and so I have them all cut. I have all of the corners cut, but I just need to get the corners on these pieces. So as a leader ender project, I was putting on my corners to my purple pieces while I was sewing the Clue 5 blocks together. These make really great leader enders because I could just put the corners on and finger press them up, and then put the other corner on the next leader or ender that I needed. So those are a couple of things that I've been working on with the Bonnie Hunter mystery quilts, and those are on quiltville.com. I finished one more block of the Nightingale Nova blocks. So this fabric line is called Nova, and it has just some real pretty maroons, pinks, turquoises, some greens in it, and these are called Nightingale blocks. I started with 20 cut out. I have all 20 made, and then I decided I wanted it to be more of a queen size for our bed. So I didn't do the entire queen size like the pattern designer indicated, but I made 10 more blocks, and I have all those cut out, and so those are kind of my in-between project blocks. So this block goes together very quickly. You make the corner square blocks, you make the flying geese, and then you make this center block. They're quick and easy, and so when I just have a few hours, even just a half an hour at night, and I don't want to do something maybe too intense or too time consuming, I can make a block or 2, or I can make pieces for a block or 2, and then I can trim them up on my lunch hour and be ready to sew them together as blocks when I get time. So I have been working on these in the last couple weeks since I did the last quilt tube. This is the only one that I've gotten completed. My big project right now, and I'm going to show you just a corner of the quilt, is I've been making t-shirt quilts for a lady from my home community. She got my name and she wanted to have t-shirt quilts made. And so as you can see, I have the t-shirt quilts done. They have a real nice soft minky on the back, and I used a flannel, so they're not super heavy, although it feels like this one is heavy. They're about 68 by 75, so a really good size throw quilt, and I'm making 3 of them. So they're all quilted. I actually spent most of last Monday, the 26th, quilting them. So I had 3 quilts to do. I quilted all of them up on Monday, and I've gotten binding on 1 of them. So they're a real easy to do. They're real memory quilts for the person who has asked me to make them for her. And for me, it's really about figuring out colors, what goes together, what works well, and I've made all 3 of them. But again, the binding takes a little bit of time, so I'm doing 1 at a time and getting those completed. So they're all cut out, they're all ready. I just need to finish binding them. And then the other thing that I quilted a couple weeks ago was this very pretty kind of striped pink fabric, and you'll see that the inside is a real pretty pink kind of swirl pattern as well. And Michaela is going to make a bag. So Randy Jones with the By Annie Facebook group is doing a slow along, so a very slow sew along in January and February. And Michaela and I are signed up to do it, and so I have the fabric all quilted, and we're going to do, it's called Back At You. So it's a backpack, and Michaela is really excited to work on this backpack for her 4-H project. So I quilted all the fabric, and now we're ready to do the quilt along. There will probably be excess of this fabric because I did about almost 2 yards of it. And so I think she'll be able to make some clam ups and some other By Annie bags at the same time as well. And so she'll get some of her 4-H projects done early. I say that now, but we all know what August looks like, and we'll be still finishing 4-H projects then. Another side note about the By Annie bags, if you've watched my quilt tubes before, you've seen that I've made a ton of By Annie bags. They are my absolute favorite bag to make right now. And my sewing center manager, she's like, we're gonna have a By Annie trunk show. Do you have any bags you would share with us? Guess what? Moneik has lots and lots and lots of By Annie bags. So I've been collecting all of those By Annie bags, and they are going to be at the Sewing Center in January during the By Annie Trunk Show. So if you'd like to see what's going on with By Annie bags, check out the Sewing Center during the month of January. There'll be a couple weeks where they will have the By Annie Trunk Show, and I will have the Moneik's version of the By Annie Trunk Show with all of my quilted bags. So I'll have open wide, a clam up, the get out of town duffel, the ultimate travel bag duffels, the travel tote, the round trip tote. I have some of the smaller travel bags, as well as the runs with scissor bag. I have some of the zip ups. I have some of the Easy Does It bags. I have some of the pencil cases. So there will be a variety of bags for you to check out at the Sewing Center. And again, I just quilt the fabric with the soft and stable in it, and then I cut my bags out from that. But you can do it either way. This is just what works easiest for me. So Michaela and I are going to embark on making this backpack from the Bianni pattern during the sew along with Randy Jones on the Bianni Facebook group. So that's something that's exciting that we're doing in the month of January, and maybe for her birthday we'll have it finished. We'll see. So let's talk next about what my haul was for the last couple months. I found a couple of pieces of batiks at the sewing center. So I got a pink and a turquoise and kind of a greenish turquoise. And these are in my newest Clue 5 blocks for the mystery quilt this year. So I'm using pink instead of the orange, and then kind of a teal and green turquoise-ish color along with my purples. So I picked up those fat quarters, and then I have been using batiks for my mystery quilts for the last number of years. And so anytime I find a really good neutral on sale, I pick those up as well. So these are just some really nice kind of neutral batiks that the Quilt Connection had on sale, and I thought, oh, I'll get a yard or two of those because they really make some variety in my mystery quilts. I picked up a very pretty purple 1 yard cut at the sewing center. Michaela and Matthew each got one for Christmas. So Matthew's one is a football piece. He really likes this football. And so I think that I am going to make him a backpack out of these fabrics as well. So that's kind of my goal. And so I picked up this piece of backing. It's kind of a sparkly, it has some browns and light blues and kind of on a black background, and I'm going to quilt these two together to make the backpack for Matthew. So I think it's a little beyond his abilities, so I'm going to do that one as I'm helping Michaela do hers. And then my Christmas present from my mother-in-law was some money, and so I went and got the Grippy Grid, which is a new product by OESD, and it is for using when you're doing embroidery with the machine hoops, and you put your hoops on, and as you're hooping it, a lot of times your hoop will slide away. Well, this Grippy Grid will sit next to my embroidery machine, and I'll be able to put the hoops on very easily because this Grippy Grid will hold my hoops so it won't pull away. So that's kind of an exciting Christmas present for me, and I knew exactly what I wanted to spend that Christmas money on. And then coming to 2023 is the Tula Pink Journal. It's time to get started on my quilting plans for 2023. So in 2022, you'll see that I made lots and lots of notes about what I was doing. And each month or each week, I would make very detailed notes about my quilting projects, what I had done, how I had spent my time. I even put some stickers in there. And so instead of using the Quilter's Planner, which I didn't really feel like I was using because it's just so big and bulky, and I really wasn't using it, this Quilter's Journal is the perfect size for me to make some notes, keep myself organized. I can carry it back and forth to work pretty easily. It's not too heavy. And so I've ordered a new one, and I'm ready to plan for the next year. So what do my plans look like for the next year? I have several quilts that I would like to finish. I'd like to finish my Christmas in Europe. You've seen some of those blocks. That's a GE Designs mystery quilt that I've been doing for the last 2 years, and we have all of the finishing instructions, so I would like to get that one finished. The Nova Nightingale blocks that I just showed you, that's another one where I'd really like to get those quilts blocks made up, get that quilt completed, and be able to get that on our bed for this coming year. Will I be doing bags? Absolutely. I don't know what bags I'll be doing. I haven't seen any recently or that are new or exciting. However, I did ask Tammy to order me a couple of different by Annie patterns. The double gear bag is one that I haven't done before, so I've asked her to order that one for me, and I hope to be able to complete some new bag patterns as well. And most of my stuff is all very organized. It's all kind of in the same fabric lines, and so we'll see what new fabric lines come out and what that might look like. Other than that, I have a heart beige yellow that I would really like to work on. That was my goal this year. My goal got the quilt cut out. So it's cut out, it just needs to be pieced, and I want to get that done as well. I am also making a star quilt skirt, and that's pretty exciting for me. One of my instructors is getting her doctorate, and she's asked me to make the star quilt skirt, and I am currently working on that. So that's kind of my challenge piece for this coming year, is to see how I can complete that and make it appropriate for representation of our Native American community. So I'm really excited about that skirt, and I'm hoping that it will really come together well. Other things that are going on, we are headed to my brother's this weekend to butcher hogs. So as one of my friends said, you're a woman of many talents. Yes, I am. I don't actually cut the meat, I just package the meat. But if you think about going to the grocery store and you just pick up the meat, well, there's a lot more work to it. We have to shoot the animals, we have to hang the animals, we have to skin them. They hang for a week, beef hang for a week, pigs hang overnight. They have to stay in the butcher shed, which is a very cold cooler, but they also have to be warm enough that you can cut them with the saw so they can't be frozen. So there's a very delicate balance for what we have to do to process the meat. And then we have it all in the shop where we have plastic covered tables, and everything is vacuum sealed and processed. And so this is probably, I don't know, 10th year that we've done it, maybe even longer than that. And it's a very tenuous process, and it very much is time consuming. We were supposed to do it the weekend before Christmas, but we had a major blizzard in South Dakota, and so we were not able to get out there. So that's kind of what our weekend will entail. We're also spending part of the time celebrating Christmas with my family, and so we have family pictures, pretty exciting. And then we're also working on exchanging gifts, doing some fun things. I've made treats, so I made date balls, I made almond bark, I made toffee, I made Chex Mix, I made banana bread. So all those fun things that are family traditions for Christmas. I've roasted the chicken, so we're having homemade chicken noodle soup as well. And so just a lot of fun things for our family, so that we can enjoy some time together. So I'm looking forward to that. And if you can see this beautiful quilt in the background, this was my mom's, what I would call her major quilt, but also her legacy quilt. So she made this quilt kind of right before she got really sick, and it was the last major quilt she did, but also the most amazing quilt she did, because all of the baskets here are fussy cut from this border fabric, and this was probably about 2009 time frame, so it gives you kind of an idea. But she really spent time fussy cutting that fabric. She made those blocks. Her piecing was immaculate. My mom was a tailor by trade, and she was a very, very detailed person. She did sewing very, very well, which is how I learned to sew. And I use her sewing machine to this day. She had received some inheritance a number of years before she passed, and she had bought the top of the line Bernina, and I still use that to this day. But she was an amazing seamstress and quilter. She just didn't like to finish anything. So I actually had her have this one professionally quilted. So it was professionally quilted by Marilyn Bates. from Sturgis, and it's absolutely custom quilted, very gorgeous. It hangs in my office for Christmas, and it's probably going to hang till mid-January, kind of when I get my blizzard, snow, blue, white quilts out for the winter months. But it absolutely is one of my favorite quilts that she did. And so I have it hanging in my office and decided to use that as my background today. So I want to thank everybody who has joined me for the last year as I've done these quilt tubes. I haven't seen a lot of quilt tubes catching on recently. However, I still love watching the floss tubes. I'm going to slowly start working more on my cross-stitching projects, but I didn't have any progress to share with you today. So thank you for joining my quilt tubes. A special shout out to those that are watching, and I appreciate any time you take to leave comments or share your experiences with quilting. You can find me on Instagram at Quilt Moneik, or you can also find me on Facebook at Moneik Stevens. So thank you so much for joining me on Quilttube today. We've made it 1 year, and hopefully in the next year I'll have more to share, more things that are going on, and you'll get to see and experience more of my quilt journey throughout the 2023. Thanks again for joining me for this Quilttube, and I look forward to seeing you in the new year. Have a great day.